bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be.
This question of personal life keeps coming up, and people are really bored. And it all stems from this religious idea. It's like the quid pro quo for having faith, belief, and hope is that you get something. So people are thinking that joining the new presentation is something in that order too. Yes, this conditioning has been going on for very long, and we see the effects, the carryover to the new presentation. I'm going to share a dream from the Congo. This is Mariam's dream. She had a dream. She was with some people, many, and she had the impression that they were the real guides, and they asked her to prepare a place for the new song, to have the new song. So in the real side experience, there was Remold and there was Tonton Jeff. And the guys told them if they sing the new, their karma will be absorbed. So Mariam prepared a place for them. She put 3 mats on the ground. And called the friend with whom she was, and started explaining to them that, look, if they sing the new song, their karma was going to be taken care of. Remote quickly complied with what Mariam had said. He agreed, but there is a Tonton Jeff who started an argument. He asked how possible that was. How that diminution of their karma would take place. So Mariam tried to explain to him that in vain. So she just stopped because she could not continue, and then suddenly she got up. So at the same time, from this dream, I can say we have so many Tom Jeffs in the new presentation who are new friends. They sing the new song, but they don't think that it can have any impact on their lives. It's just like they do it mechanically or so. And we see it here. There are those who, I don't want to say believe, but there are those who are convinced and those who are not convinced about the new song as a vehicle that would take away their accumulated karmic load. So I don't know whether Duane has something to say about this.
So in this experience that Miriam had, she was, what you're saying is she was confronted with what's taking place. And it's understandable. Okay, so all you can do is present it. You just like anything, a mother raising a child, you know, that child is going to consider what it's going to do on its own. And so, just like when a baby's crawling, you kind of head it in the direction, you give it that. This is what the boys do. They kind of head the individual in the direction, and then they see where the individual is going to do. Well, of course, mom wants the baby to crawl across the floor in a certain way, but, all of a sudden baby starts going over into every direction and even starts to get into the wall sockets or whatever, knock over the lamps. That's not the idea. Well, of course, those things happen. Yeah, okay. It's, this is just how it is. You've got to experience all the variables. And so even presenting the simplest things, and yes, it's not even really it's not about, okay, do you believe in it, or, because that's an idea. Okay, see, ideas about ideas don't really work all the time. It just depends. Okay, there is a mechanics to it. Yes, 2 and 2 is 4, but really that's not how things are. Those are just ideas. And so, and being self-convinced and all these things too. Well, yes, we can become self-convinced by it, etc. But it's more like the air we breathe, and again, the sun shining. These things that are obvious to us. It is really the obvious things that are not paid attention to. And so, just by the very fact, just like birds, when you see birds, little birds, watch the birds. I always watch the birds. Birds are awesome. They're like little Peter Pans. They're like little fairies. They fly around. They have this little magical life here. They really do. And they're awesome. And they don't bother anybody. They're just wonderful. And so, really, that's why I use the word wonderful a lot, because it's so simple and so cool. And that is that things are demonstrated to us. It's not rocket science, and that is that it's like when a child first learns to walk, or they learn to talk, or they sing. It's just very simple, and the new you is that too. In other words, you got to try it. You got to see how does this the idea here is feeling, because we're mainly using our astral bodies, which is fine. But there's more than that too. There's the intuitive part and your insight. When you can get beyond your mental literalization, that's where the personal part comes in and says, well, I don't believe this, or I don't think it'll work, or whatever. That's your mind. That's your personal self deciding. That's where you become self-convinced too. So, it's all these particulars, because we have so many variables going on. And yes, to get that focus to a point. And the experience here, like any of them, the boys are just simply suggesting something, and Miriam's willing to say, okay, I'll try it. They're suggesting certain things because they're the overview. And Miriam has her personal life too, and she's very busy, and she has the real side experiences. So this is where the guides come in, because she's singing the new you, and she's willing to listen. To a certain point, she's willing to listen and do whatever. And of course, now she has to deal with others. And how they see things. That becomes the challenge. I see that. And this is where I'm fine with confronting everything, because it's not about good or bad or right or wrong. It's if you will confront it and do the best you can, but sometimes you just sometimes I'll do nothing because I see that nothing can be done. So, even when it's on the real side, it's just like here. You need agreement. People have to agree, and they have to decide to do it themselves. So again, this is the real challenge, isn't it? So, thank you for that, Charles. There's so many things that can be said about it, and I like sharing. And I know sometimes people get confused, but once we just kind of let go and just do things, just like fly the plane or drive the car, and just let go of all the ideas about it, just kind of do it, and kind of go with our real awareness and start recognizing and seeing what's taking place. And it could be the simplest things. make it too hard and complex. And this is why, again, I have created the projects to give people examples of just keep busy with something that points towards, in some way refers to the isness, you see. And this is why I've made my whole life, this is what it is. I'm not looking for some La La Lander to go off and to be there and just to be alone or whatever. I'm not looking for any of that. I look for everything to get involved with, because the earth only has so much time, and it's going to go faster or shorter according to the free will here. It's not about me, only so much time. So I'm going to do everything I can to present this to the world, because anything of a personal nature, well, it really doesn't comply. And I'm already doing the personal stuff. I'm eating what I want. I get to go to the beach a little bit. But again, because of what's happening now, and focusing on this, etc. So again, you've got all these variables. That's the challenge, and it's constantly a challenge. It never smooths itself out, and you have people coming and going. And so she's seen it more so on the real side, this side, and she's stepped up. She's the one that gathered people very quickly when you came in. She came in years ago, and I see it as tremendous what she's done, and plus doing her business and everything else. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. And again, this is where it gets more real, but it all leads up to the recognition. That's the big part. In other words, even when you have the experiences on the real side, fine. But learn to see what supports that. What is it that's taking place that supports all of that? And not just making it a cliche in your mind, but realistically seeing it, and then act upon it. That's the whole part. It's not we're just collecting knowledge here and then walking around talking to people about it and laughing and giggling. No, that's what they did with the centers, the X centers and that, and pretty soon they were all gone, because that gets boring after a while. It's an actuality of doing something all the time. Like Kelsey's doing little radio shows, and she's staying active with this. See, her attention's automatically on it and thinking of the next radio show and the next thing, the next website she's going to create out of the groups that I create or whatever. She's constantly putting herself in that position. So little by little, things are shown to her so she can better wake up, etc. And anybody that does that, when they formulate their whole life around creating something and taking part completely, this is where I came through the social order of things when I was a contractor and had the family. Yeah, but I wasn't satisfied with that. I wanted this to be 100%, or this is all I do. 100%. Yeah, no job, no nothing, to where I can do what I want. And so it's a lot. It's a lot to get there. And so Miriam, too, she has to deal with these people and to try and set something up. But the boys keep at it. As long as people, are trying, they'll keep at it. But in the same time, she has variables to deal with. And people are going to come and go. And you have to let them go. I don't try and convince anybody of anything. When they make a statement, I go, okay. Because you have to give them the freedom. It's just like, the bird fell out of the nest and you helped it get well. But at some point, it's standing in the palm of your hand looking at you. And you have to, kind of put your hand out. You got to let it go. You got to let it fly away and have its reality, because this is how life is. So you can be okay too. You don't want to be the captor, because then you're the prisoner. And when you watch people with their dogs walking down the street, who really handles the leash? Is it the dog or the person? Watch what the dog does and watch what the person does. It's a good objective view. People decide to do this stuff. They don't have to, but they decide to do it and become socially acceptable, just like all the poison and pollution we breathe. It's all socially acceptable now. Oh, what's a little more poison? Yeah, so it's always a big challenge, isn't it, Charles? And, I'm very focused on what's going on there, but at the same time, people have to start somewhere. They start with the new you. They start with the knowledge. They need a basis, and then they decide something that makes sense. And so that's the toughie. Just like raising children. You cannot control them, but at the same time, you try and get them to where that they can, utilize and and take care of themselves. This is what I taught my daughter. I didn't teach her stuff in the school or whatever. I saw that, no. I taught her how to be self-sufficient, and that's what she is. And so all the other things that she took on, she was going to learn those anyhow. I already knew that. She was going to be in the world and do all the stuff she did. I'd let her be it. I'd let her do it. You know, I was there. But I taught her to be self-sufficient, and she is very, very well. Yes, anybody can see the daughter on Facebook. She's very self-sufficient, but there's a side of her that hasn't woken up. But that's her choice. I don't interfere. Like the sun shining, I don't interfere. All I do is present it, what's possible. And so her attitude is that, oh, okay, my dad's doing weird stuff. Well, that's fine. I'm not concerned. I kind of like that too. I like to bother people in their own way. And I bother my neighbors too. They make all the noise, but it's my fault. And so that's fine, because I'm only here to present this. And the funny thing is that those people that are bothered by me, they actually pay attention the most. It's kind of a funny thing. This is how creation is. I don't look for the good times. I look for what makes sense every single moment. That's the best part of standing real and recognizing this. Once you start to recognize the succession of the isness, of the nowness every moment, that will supersede everything. But you decide how that will be so. So again, Marians go through a process. We all are here. And this is all for you.
I can recollect the dream. This is a dream that the new friend Jenny Congo had, and in this real side experience, she was pursued by somebody. And this person told her to stop and see something which was written on a piece of paper. So on that piece of paper was the noon, and the person told her that this is the new sound. This is the new sound. So she was very happy to get it. And then in the same result experience, she met the blue light man, Trésor. So Trésor said, ask her, are you still with that your new thing that Duane is teaching? Said, then told her that there's a new sound that has replaced the nu and the hu sound, and then proceeded to tell her the sound and then how to sing it. She just shut her ears. She didn't want to listen, and walked away very, very, very fast. So you see, the blue light man is still trying to convince people on the real side to not to sing the new song, because, as he claims, there's a new sound that has replaced the nu and the hu. So that's just some fun time, except Duane has something to say about it.
Yeah, we spoke about, you spoke about this before, the blue man. Is that, again, refresh my memory here, is that some path or guy in Africa? Is that the idea?
Yeah, it's still the blue light man that we talked of last time.
Okay.
So, this time he has carried his adventure to the real side and trying to tell Jenny, look, you should forget about what Duane is telling you. There's a new sound that has replaced the new sound and the hue, and trying to give her the sound and how to sing it. And she just walked away, shut her ears, and left the place. So I don't know about blue light man, whether he's the
I,
next.
I think this. I would say this experience is very cute. What I'm getting is this one of the boys testing her. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh
one
huh.
of
Yeah. It's kind of funny, really. Yeah, because it's very matter of fact. It's a little bit humorous. I was laughing here. It's really a little bit humorous. Yeah, you're gonna be tested. You're gonna see. It's like, oh, is this? You really want to do this, huh? Yeah. You're gonna stick up for it. And she look at the experience objectively. I'd say it's one of the boys, or myself, or whatever. See, and she's thinking, but you know, again, you go through many tests. Yeah, just like boot camp. You know, you don't get out of there without going through the tests. And I would say that that's very good. She's doing good. She's a sweetie. Go ahead.
yeah. That's why I said it was fun time because it's something to laugh over. But now you've shed light on it. Could really be. It's really a test. Uh, I can see it clearly too. Can be a real test for her to see whether she has really uh, embraced the new sound. So I would communicate this back to Mariam since they know about the blue light man. Maybe one of the real guys is trying to test whether they believe him or they will follow the new sound.
like a bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see.